Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Monster Families. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a really evil monster, the Beetles, the Scarabs, the little demon things that I don't know what the hell's going on with these things, but they're evil. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about when it comes to the Scarab demons. Believe it or not, they're actually quite crazy of a monster type. Not only in the fact that they give some of the best EXP in the game, but they also have some interesting quirks that allow you to use them to PK your friends. Yes, indeed. So let's talk about the Scarab demons, and we'll get into the nitty gritty. So first off, they go by tons of different names: Scarab Demon, Dung Soldiers, Death Beetles, Scarabs, Steel Scarabs, Bone Scarabs. There is even guest versions of these monsters, the Scarab and the Steel Scarab in Act 5. Every single one, which is actually very unique, because most of the time with these monsters, they generally have like rotating immunities. I've noticed across like many of the monster families that when there are different monster types in different areas and different, like acts and things like that, that the different monster types have different immunities. No, not the scarabs. The scarabs are literally zero magic, zero fire, zero cold, zero poison, zero magic, zero fire, zero cold, zero poison. They are nothing if not completely standard. They are like absolutely standard models. They have lightning immunity, and that is literally it. The only thing that goes up is more lightning immunity. So they go from 100% immune for the Dung Soldiers to 105 to the Death Beetles to 110 for the Scarabs and so forth and so on, which could only really make them immune to, say, Conviction Aura or lower resistance in some cases for breaking their immunities. In general, the Scarab demons have literally no resistance to any element with the exception of lightning. So if you are fighting Scarab demons as a lightning character, then you can just cry your eyeballs out. But pretty much everybody else in Hell difficulty has to deal with them. But for some reason or another, they don't have any lightning resistance in normal or nightmare difficulty, which is very strange. So Scarab demons actually have zero resistances until Hell, at which point they gain immunity to lightning. And that's about it. Now, they do have physical resistance, which is not really counted in one of the elemental resistances, but it is one resistance. And they only have 50% physical resistance, again, in Hell difficulty, having no physical resistance in normal difficulty or nightmare, which is really strange. They have block chance, 15% block chance for the babies and 24 to 24 for the guest monsters and the top end of the non-guest monsters, percent block chance. Now, I don't necessarily know if all of the block chance numbers are active within the game. Some monsters have block chance listed but can't block, and some monsters have block chance listed and can block. I'm not entirely sure whether these are the former or the latter. The interesting thing about the Beetles, though, is that they're really, really good EXP. Now, I tried to dig into the details of why they're really good EXP, and basically all I could come up with is essentially in the Mon stats file, which is essentially the file that kind of gives all of this information on the monsters. The Beetles apparently have some of the highest EXP for basically any monster in the game of equivalent level. And with the Terror Zones allowing them to scale, it also in turn scales their EXP and allows them to have basically the highest EXP in the game. So Beetles are definitely the best EXP on level of basically any monster that you would fight in Act 2 or any other zone that you will encounter them. They just generally have the highest EXP. And on top of that, when they scale, their EXP also scales with the Mon stats file, which again gives them the highest EXP of essentially any monster in any zone that you're fighting. They also have relatively low resistances, as you can clearly see, to basically any element except for lightning or physical, which makes them extremely easy to kill. And they don't really have particularly very high HP by comparison to a lot of other monsters, which could potentially have much higher HP. To put it in perspective, let's take a look at the Act 4 bestiary. And we're going to look at like the Regurgitator or the Mega Demon, which is the Balrogs. The Regurgitators have 19,782 HP, or if Meow was here, HP. And then we have the Balrogs, which have 15k HP. And, you know, they're only, even at the top end, they're only at 6,800, which is actually not bad at all. So not only do they have relatively no resistance to basically any damage type other than lightning or physical, but they also have relatively low HP by comparison to some of the higher HP monsters in the game. Let's read what Ariat Summon has to say on them. It says, a vastly mutated beetle from the region. Only hell could produce something so vile. Scarab demons are large, mobile insects that rapidly pursue and surround their enemies. When struck, these demons unleash a deadly spread of electrical energy that proves fatal to many attackers. It is perilous to fight these monstrosities without ranged weapons or suitable resistance to lightning. Scarab demons shoot out charge bolts when struck, much like any lightning enchanted unique monster. With their innate lightning abilities, you may want to consider putting on items with resistances to lightning when engaging groups of these creatures. Avoid getting caught within a pack of scarab demons. If surrounded, your life expectancy is sure to drop. Keep moving and try to engage these one at a time. Use your strongest possible attacks so they shoot minimal number of charged bolts. Scarab demons also have a jab attack. Death beetles have 50% faster than normal monsters, and scarabs heal twice as fast as normal monsters. Steel scarabs heal 150% faster than normal monsters, and bone scarabs heal 3 times as fast as normal monsters. So it does seem like the scarabs do have a particularly high regeneration ability, depending on the type. So as it says here, death beetles have 50% faster heal. Scarabs are 2 times faster heal, and steel scarabs are 150% times faster heal. Dung soldiers, scarabs, steel scarabs, bone scarabs have a chance to deal lightning damage when they attack, and death beetles have a chance to deal lightning and poison damage when they attack. So if you've ever been poisoned by a beetle and you don't know why, it's because the death beetles do have a proc effect, essentially, of poison damage. There's also guest variations of these monsters in Act 5. And they are right here. The guest variations just deal lightning damage. They don't have the same as well. But they do have 3 times the normal regeneration. This usually just means that if monsters regenerate fast, you have to either A, stop their regeneration with prevent monster heal, open wounds, or poison, or B, don't half-ass it. Kill them. If you kill them with each attack, then it's going to be a lot easier. Now, another interesting little tidbit about the fact that they are lightning enchanted always, but they're not lightning enchanted, is the fact that they can actually be double lightning enchanted. So because the monster, or actually this also applies to the Cow King, by the way, because the monster is default lightning enchanted, but it's not actually lightning enchanted, if you roll an elite monster and the elite monster has lightning enchantment, it can be double lightning enchanted. Now, you can't actually tell this because when you hit the monster, it's just going to emit 2 bolts instead of 1, or 4 bolts instead of 8, or 2, or 8 bolts instead of 4, or so forth and so on, right? So you're not actually going to be able to see that they're double lightning enchanted, but it's going to feel double lightning enchanted. It's going to hurt a lot. And the double lightning enchanted is just going to be massive amounts of damage by comparison to the single lightning enchantment. On top of this, lightning enchantment doesn't necessarily require you to hit the target to make it active. So I have gathered a bunch of beetles here, and I want to show you a method that you can use to PK your friends without actually enabling PK. So if you are a leap barbarian and you have a particularly strong leap attack, leap itself, which does not actually hit the enemies and does not actually do any damage, will still trigger the lightning emission. If you were to leap in quick succession with a large number of beetles nearby, you would create a literal blanket of charged bolts across the battlefield, which you could potentially use to PK your friends. How do I know this? Well, somebody PK'd me with this exact method. His name was Jack, and Jack did it while laughing and giggling to himself while we were all screaming and dying. And he's like, "What? I'm keeping you guys safe from the beetles." And I'm like, "Jack, please stop. We're dying." And he's just leap, leap, leap. He's like, "Just kill them. They can't get you." I'm like, "We can't do anything. There's a literal blanket of lightning." We all died, by the way. We all died kicking and screaming. And this, of course, gets worse if you end up with an elite version that has, of course, its own enchantment as well. So you end up with a double lightning enchantment and basically thousands of these little bolts all over the place, just murdering everybody. Even with 75% resistance, even with 95% resistance, I have actually found it extremely difficult to stay alive versus essentially a double lightning enchanted monster that you are hitting in fast succession. One example of this was the Cow King, which was lightning enchanted with an additional lightning enchantment, and he had the bug, essentially. It was giving him, like, double or triple lightning enchanted. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was insane. He was also immune to physical, which made matters worse, and I was sitting there trying to smite him to death. And even with 95% resistance to lightning, I was still dying, albeit relatively slowly, but I was still dying to the lightning enchantment, which was like double or triple enchanted. It was really stupid. So, beetles. Number one, really good EXP. Number two, I mean, they're melee. Like, they chase you around, and sure, they can be annoying, but they won't emit lightning unless you hit them. So if you're not using AoE attacks, you can generally focus your damage on one monster. Another thing is if you're a caster type, you'll notice that there's kind of like a pattern to the way that the lightning comes out. And if you're standing in a specific spot when it comes to lightning enchantment, you can definitely avoid being hit by the lightning. You just have to make sure you're standing in the right place. A lot of the times, though, there isn't much of an option. Like if you're in Far Oasis and you're going down in the maggot layer, as an example, and you're trying to, kill the beetles, you don't really have a choice to stand in the place where the lightning isn't emitting because, well, it's literally just you standing there with the beetle. So sometimes it can be an absolute pain in the butt. But in general, I mean, the beetles aren't really particularly very strong versus most resistant or elements. I mean, as you can clearly see on the board, just looking at their resistances, 0 magic, 0 poison, 0 cold, 0 fire. So as long as you're not dishing out lightning damage in hell difficulty, even lightning damage itself in normal and nightmare difficulty tends to do very good damage to them. And the same thing with physical. They are very easy to kill with physical in normal and nightmare. So despite the fact that they are highly resistant to physical in hell and highly immune to lightning in hell difficulty, pretty much any damage type kills them. And the only real important thing that you have to note is just how fast they regenerate. So if you stop them from regenerating for whatever reason, they're just going to be really easy to kill. And that's one of the reasons why like freezing arrows on in the maggot layer just does so well. She fires a cold arrow. They're completely non-resistant to cold. Everything just shatters, and she just laughs and moves on to the next room. But if you've ever been in Worldstone Keep, which is a place where they do spawn, for instance, and I don't know if I'll get lucky enough to see beetles in Worldstone Keep, but as guest monsters, they can appear in Worldstone Keep. And if you are doing terrorized Worldstone, as an example, and you happen to come across a pack of Scarab beetles in Worldstone, which they do appear in Worldstone level 2, if I remember correctly, definitely kill them. Because terrorized beetles in one of the highest levels in the game can be one of the best EXP monsters that you're going to come across. In fact, usually whenever we see beetles in Worldstone 2, we clear them because it's just super good EXP. I think that pretty much covers everything about the beetles. There's really not a lot more to talk about with them. They're easy to kill. They're always immune to lightning. They do have some additional chances to use poison. You can use them to PK your friends. And, yeah, they do regenerate relatively fast. They're kind of ugly, too. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but they are pretty ugly. They did get added into Diablo 4, which was kind of interesting, but they changed them in Diablo 4, and they gave them, like, a human head or something. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. But if you look at, like, the Scarab Beetle in Diablo 2, as an example, the Scarab Beetle in Diablo 2 looks like this, of course, which, I mean, actually looks like a beetle, right? But if you look at the Scarab Beetle in Diablo 4, they kind of added this almost like human head to the front of it to make it look really creepy. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. That's the Diablo 2 one. Ooh, that's a really nice picture somebody did of the Scarab Beetle. I like that. Look at that. Evil, creepy-looking beetle monster thing. Yeah, I like that one a hell of a lot better than the Diablo 4 one. But the Diablo 4 one actually has like a human head on it, which is weird. It was a very weird change that they decided to do with the Diablo 4 version. I can't find a picture of the Diablo 4 version right off the bat. It doesn't really matter. Diablo 2 version looks better anyway. That's really cool looking. I wonder who did that. It's on ArtStation. Oh my God, Bale. Calm it down. Calm your tits, Bale. Bale over here just like slapping me with some doodads. Man, that's a really nice. That is a really nice wallpaper. 4 years ago, Pixel Mafia. Looks like he did quite a few of the monsters in on air. It's really neat. That is really neat. Gabriel Santos. I'm gonna have to include that in the video. Make some good wallpapers. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to the Scarab Beetles. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining. Be sure to tune in next time. We're going to go over one of the other monster families. This is my full-time job, so be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. And as always, keep watching.